Good morning, students. Welcome back to the course of Software Testing Techniques. This video is brought to you by Newton's Group of Institutions, Macharla. This is Arvind Egireddy from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. So today, let us discuss about the in-depth overview of domain testing and its implementation. So in this unit 3, we will discuss about the domains and path. That is, we will try to understand the concepts of domain testing. We understand the importance and limitations of domain testing. Then we differentiate what is ugly and nice domains. And we will try to find out, know the properties of ugly and nice domains. And we will learn about domain testing strategies for different dimensional domains. And here we will see how to identify the problem due to the incompatibility of domains and ranges in interface testing. So this is what we will discuss in this particular unit 3. So now in this particular lecture, let us see what are domains. That is the concepts of domains. So what is a domain model, domain as a set, domain paths, domain predicates, closure domains, domain dimensionality, domain assumptions. So in domain testing, here we divide the domain into subdomains and then test using the values for each subdomain. For example, if we take a website domain that has been given for testing, then we will be dividing the website into smaller portions for the case of testing. Okay, so let us see what is domain testing. So domain in mathematics, we know that domain is nothing but it is a set of all possible values of an independent variable or the variable of a function. So programs as input data classifiers. Here domain testing is going to attempt to determine whether the classification is correct or not. So here domain testing can be based on the specifications or by equivalent implementation information. So in domain testing, which is based on the specifications, if it is based on the specification details, then it is a functional test technique what we apply. And if the domain testing which is based on the implementation details, then it is a structural testing technique what we apply. So for example, if we are doing the domain testing, that means which means that we are checking extra values of an input variable. So here the semantic representation of the domain testing we can see here. So first what we have to do, we have to first the different input variables which are being provided to the program. Then the classifier, they receive all the input variables and divide them into different cases. So every case there should be at least one path processor that is going to specify that particular case. And finally, output is being received from these do cases. Okay, so here, for example, if all the inputs to a program which we can consider as if they are numbers. So as an example, a character string can be treated as a number by concatenating bits and looking at them as if they were some binary integers. So here, this is the view of the domain testing. So which is why this strategy, which is going to have a mathematical flavor. Okay, so the mathematical flavor is only because all the variables what we are using, we will be treating them as numbers. Okay, so before doing whatever it does, here the routine, it must classify the input and set it moving on the right path. So here an invalid input So if the values are too big, which is just a special processing case where we have to reject it. So if the input then passes to a hypothetical subroutine rather than onto a calculations part. So in domain testing, we basically focus on the classification aspect of the routine rather than onto the calculation part. So here, structural knowledge which is not needed for this kind of model. So only a consistent, complete specification of the input values for each case that is required. So here, what we can infer is, we can infer that for each case, there must be at least one path to process that particular case. Now, let us see what is a domain in the form of a set. What is a domain as a set? So here we are going to treat all the inputs as a set. So if the source language that supports some set of definitions, so let us take, if it is an Pascal language, we are going to set types, and if it is an C, enumerated data types. So less testing is needed because the compiler is going to do much of it for those such kind of languages. So at the time of a compilation or runtime, the compiler is going to take care whether the data types what we have defined are correct or not. So domain testing does not work well with the arbitrary discrete sets of data objects. So domains for a loop-free program which corresponds to set of number of different which are being defined over the input vectors. Now let us see what are domain paths or domain predicates. So in domain testing, predicates are assumed to be interpreted in terms of input vector variables. So here in domain testing, if it is being applied to the structure, then the predicate, it is going to do interpretations which are much, or which must be based on the actual path through that particular routine, and that is based on the implementation of the control flow graph. And here conversely, if the domain testing which is being applied to the specifications, then interpretation is based on the specification data flow graph for that particular routine. But usually, as is the nature of the specification, no interpretations which is needed because the domains are specified directly. We are going to define the domains directly. We are going to specify the domains directly. So for every domain, there is at least one path through that particular routine. And there may be more than one path if the domain which is going to consist of disconnected paths, or if the domain is being defined by union of two or more domains. So here the domains are being defined by their boundaries. Domain boundaries are also where most domain bugs occur. So because of the domain boundaries, we are going to get the bugs. These bugs occur. So for every boundary, there need to be at least one predicate that is going to specify what number belongs to the domain and what number that does not belongs to the domain. Okay, so that is what we have to understand. For example, if the statement is something like x greater than 0, if x greater than 0, then alpha is then alpha is being set, else beta is being set. So how many variables define it? So here, if the statement x is greater than 0, then alpha, else beta. So here we know that the number that is greater than 0 becomes belongs to alpha processing domains, while 0 and smaller numbers, they belongs to beta domains. So here a domain may have one or more boundaries. No matter how many variables we are going to define it. For example, if the predicate is something x square plus y square less than 16, then the domain which is inside of a circle of radius 4 about the origin. Similarly, we can we could define a spherical domain with one boundary, but with three variables. So domains are usually defined by many boundary segments and therefore by many predicates. That is the set of interpreted predicates. They are traversed on the path. That is the path predicate expression, which is going to define the domain boundaries. So here we can review that a domain is a loop-free program. And for every domain, there is at least one path through the boundary. And the set of interpreted predicates, they define the domain boundaries. Okay, so let us see what is a domain closure. So what is a domain closure? A domain boundary which is closed with respect to a domain if the points are on the boundary that belongs to the domain. And if the boundary points belong to some other domain, then the boundary is said to be open. So here, if you can see in this figure, this shows three situations for one-dimensional domain, that is X. A domain defined over the input variable X. So we call it as X. So here, the importance of domain closure is that correct closure bugs are frequent domain bugs. For example, X greater than or equal to 0 and X greater than 0, which was intended. So in the first figure, if you can see the D2 boundaries, here the D2 boundaries are closed at both maximum end and minimum end. Both are closed. So if D2 is closed, then the adjacent boundaries D1 and D3, they must be open. So in this second case, here D2 is closed on the minimum side and opened on the maximum side, which means that D1 is open and D3 is closed. Now coming to this third figure. Here D2 is open on both sides, which means the adjacent domains D1 and D2, they must be closed. Okay, so now let us see what is the domain dimensionality. So depending on the input variables, the domains can be classified as number line domains, planar domains, or solid domains. That is, for one input variable, the value of the domain is on the number line. And for two variables, the result is planar. And for three variables, the domain is solid. So one important thing here is we have to note that we need not worry about the domain dimensionality with the number of predicates, because there might be one or more boundary predicates. So here every new predicate slices through previously defined domains and cuts them into half. So every boundary slices through the input vector space with a dimensionality which is less than the dimensionality of the space. So here the planes are cut by lines and points, and volumes by planes, lines and points, and n spaces by hyperplanes. Now let us see what is bug assumption. So here the domain errors. So the bug assumption for a domain testing is nothing but it is the processing whether it is okay, but the domain definition might be wrong or is wrong. So here an incorrect implementation domain, which means that the boundaries are wrong, but which in turn may mean that the control flow predicates are wrong. Okay, so here let us see the different domain bugs, domain errors that are being caused. 00 representation. So many different bugs that can result in domain errors. Some of them we call them as a 00 representations. So in computers or any languages that have a distinct positive and negative 0 boundary errors. So these boundary errors for negative 0 are, which are of course a common platform or common thing. The next type of bug is floating point zero check. That is, a floating point number can be equal to 0 only if the previous definition of that number is been set to 0, or if it is been subtracted from the self or multiplied by 0. So the floating point 0 check to be done against the epsilon values. That is, if in between the program, if we are going to get the value as 0, and wherein that value we are using for dividing that variable, if we are using for division, then we will get a runtime error, division by 0 error. Okay, so now we have one more error, that is contradictory domains. So here, an implemented domain that can never be ambiguous or never be contradictory. But of course, a specified domain can. So here, a contradictory domain specification, which means that at least two supposedly distinct domains, they are going to overlap, like what we can see here in this picture. Next, ambiguous domains. So ambiguous domains, which means that the union of the domain which is incomplete. That is, there are some missing domains or holes in the specified domain. So it is been not specified what happens to the points on the domain boundary if it is a common ambiguity. Okay, next, the next kind of domain what we can see is over specified domains. So the domain can be overloaded with so many conditions that result into a null domain. So another way to put it is to say that the domain path is unachievable. If you can see here, x greater than 3 and x less than 2. X is greater than 3 and it is not or x and x less than 2. Never, it can never happen. So that is what we called as a over specified domain, which is unachievable. X is greater than 3, it seems, and x is less than 2. So both the conditions has to be true. So that is unachievable. So such kind of errors we call as over specified domains. Next, boundary errors. So here these boundary errors, these are caused in and around the boundary of the domain. For example, these can be boundary closure bugs or shifted, tilted, missing, extra boundaries. So all these are the examples of boundary error bugs. Then next one is closure reversal. So here the common bug, closure reversal is the common bug. Here the predicate is defined in terms of greater than or equal to. Incorrect usage, less than or equal to for new predicates. That is x greater than or equal to. You can see x greater than or equal to 3 is incorrectly negated as x less than or equal to 0. So thereby shifted boundary values to adjacent domains. This is what we call it as an closure reversal. Faulty logic. So here the compound predicates that are especially are subjected to faulty logic transformations and improper specifications. That is, if the predicate that is being defined domain boundaries, all kinds of domain bugs can result from a faulty logic manipulations because of illegal logic. Logic is not good. So of course, you have written the program. The logic for the program is not correct. Logic itself is wrong. So that is faulty logic. So from all areas, we will be having the bugs. Now, let us see the restrictions to domain testing. So in general, domain testing has restrictions. That is, we cannot use a domain testing if they are violated. So in testing, there is no invalid test, only unproductive test. We cannot say, of course, invalid test. We have to say unproductive test. And some of them, they include coincidental correctness. Coincidental. The name itself, it is saying coincidental. So here, domain testing is not good at finding the bugs for which the outcome is correct for the wrong reasons. So coincidentally, it is wrong for wrong reasons. We got correct. So if we are snowed by coincidental correctness, then what may happen? We may misjudge the incorrect boundary. Maybe for that particular condition, it may be coincidentally, it may become true. So here we have to note that this implies the weakness for the domain testing. When we are going to deal with the routines that have binary outcomes like true or false. Okay, the second restriction is a representative outcome. So domain testing is an example of partition testing. And in partition testing strategies, we divide the program's input space into domains such that all the inputs within the domain, they are equivalent. Not equal, but equivalent. So in the sense that any input represents all inputs in that particular domain. Any input. So if the selected input is shown to be correct by a test, then process is pre-assumed to be correct. And therefore, all inputs within that particular domain are expected to be correct. Okay. So whatever the input we give, it is going to give the correct value. So that such kind of things, we call it as representative outcomes. Okay. So most testing techniques which are functional or structural, they fall under this partition testing and therefore make this representative outcome assumptions. So let us consider one small example, x square and 2 power x. So they are equal for x is equal to 2. So if x is equal to 2, x square value is 4 and 2 power x value is also 4. But here x square and 2 power x both are different functions. So here the functional difference between the adjacent domains are usually simple, such as x plus 7 versus x plus 9 rather than x square versus 2 power x. So x plus 7 and x plus 9 can never be equal for same value of x. But whereas x square and 2 power x are same for x value is equal to 2, but even though they are two different functions. And next one is simple domain boundaries and compound predicates. So compound predicate, in which each part of the predicate that specifies a different boundary, which are not a problem. For example, if x greater than or equal to 0 and x less than 16, which just specify two domain boundaries by one compound predicate. So here we are using just only one compound predicate. So here this predicate specifies one boundary equation. X is equal to 0, but alternate closure, putting it in one or the other domain depending on the value of whether y less than 7 or y greater than 14. So here, another example here, if you can say the compound predicate y is equal to 1 and x greater than or equal to 0 and x less than or equal to 16. So here x greater than or equal to 0, x less than or equal to 16. So only one specific boundary equation, x is equal to 0, but alternate closures, we are going to put it in one of that other domain depending on the value of y. Okay, so here we have to treat the compound predicates with respect because they are more complicated than what they seem to be. Next, functional homogeneity of bugs. So whatever the bug it is, it will not change the functional form of the boundary predicates. For example, if we are going to take the equation ax plus by greater than or equal to c. So here the bug will be in the values of a, b or c, but it will not change the predicate ax plus by greater than or equal to c. So here the bug can be the cause because of the value of a what we are taking, or the value of b what we are taking, and the value of c. But the predicate is one and the same. So functional homogeneity bugs. Next, linear vector space. So most papers on domain testing, they assume linear boundaries. Of course, which is not a bad assumption, because in practice, most boundary predicates which are linear. So linear boundary predicates, they can be interpreted. They have simple relational operations and can be easily converted to linear vector space. 2D polar coordinates are polynomials, and there are no problems with the non-linear boundaries. Now, loop-free software. The next one is loop-free software. Of course, loops are problematic for domain testing. Here, the trouble with the loop is that at each iteration that can result in a different predicate expression after doing the interpretations. So, which means that the possibility of the domain bugs may change. So here, loop testing or loop domain testing is a type of software testing that is going to perform to validate the loops, and it is one of the type of the control structure testing. So here, loop testing is a white box testing technique and is used to test the loops in a program. So I hope you understood the concepts of domain testing, and you understood what is the importance and what are the limitations, restrictions of domain testing, limitations of domain testing. Okay, so in our next video, let us see the difference between the nice and ugly domains, and the different properties of nice and ugly domains. So if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for the latest notifications. Thank you one and all.